Many people say that giving birth is the most painful thing a mother can experience. But there is something worse than that. Something that can break a mother's heart and soul. Something that happened to thousands of women under the Nazi regime. They were forced to give up their children to a secret program known as Lebensborn, which bore a name that whispered of hope and renewal. A fountain of life, they called it, a cruel irony that masked its true nature. Designed by the Nazi regime, it sought to create a superior race by breeding children with SS officers or forcibly adopting them from occupied countries. The mothers, bereft of their precious babies, were left with nothing but the haunting memory of their first cry, a cry that reverberated in their souls, an eternal reminder of the love stolen from their arms in the dark facilities. The nauseating events that took place in these Nazi breeding facilities are a dark chapter in history that must never be forgotten. Today, in Bizarre History, we unveil the disturbing truth about Nazi breeding farms. Established in December 1935, Lebensborn, meaning Fountain of Life, received state funding and encompassed maternity homes, family planning clinics, adoption services, and orphanages. These facilities were designed to provide care for racially valuable babies, affording them every opportunity to thrive and grow. The Lebensborn program was officially established in December 1935, receiving substantial state funding and support. Its comprehensive infrastructure consisted of maternity homes, family planning clinics, adoption services, and orphanages strategically positioned throughout Nazi Germany and later in occupied territories. At the heart of the Lebensborn program were the maternity homes, where pregnant women deemed to possess the desired Aryan traits were provided with specialized care and support. These facilities offered a range of medical services, including prenatal care, delivery assistance, and postnatal care. The mothers-to-be were closely monitored by SS doctors who evaluated their racial background, ensuring that they met the strict criteria set forth by the Nazi regime. In addition to supporting expectant mothers, the Lebensborn program also facilitated adoption services and the care of orphaned children. A key objective of the program was to secure the future of the Aryan race by placing racially valuable children in the care of racially desirable families. The adoption process prioritized SS officers and their wives, providing them with opportunities to adopt and raise children who embodied the desired racial characteristics. The Lebensborn program operated under a veneer of compassion and humanitarianism, presenting itself as a program dedicated to the well-being and prosperity of children. The facilities were designed to provide an environment conducive to the growth and development of these racially valuable babies, affording them every opportunity to thrive and fulfill their perceived potential. Initially, the Lebensborn program was primarily targeted toward the wives of SS officers, with the objective of ensuring the birth and care of children who possessed the desired racial traits according to Nazi ideology. These women were considered ideal candidates for producing racially superior offspring due to their connection to SS members who were presumed to embody the Aryan ideal. The program's focus began to shift as Germany experienced military successes during the early years of World War II. Unmarried pregnant women, enticed by the promise of secrecy and state-sponsored support, were encouraged to participate in the program. They saw it as an opportunity to secure a better future for themselves and their children, particularly given the difficult circumstances of being unmarried and pregnant during wartime. Estimates suggest that up to 70% of participants in the program before 1940 were unmarried women. This influx of unmarried mothers reflected a significant shift in the program's composition as it expanded beyond the confines of married SS officers' wives. The inclusion of unmarried women allowed the program to further its goal of increasing the birth rate of racially valuable children and nurturing them under the auspices of the Nazi state. Women who wished to be part of the program had to undergo rigorous examinations conducted by SS doctors. These examinations aimed to determine the racial value of the child the woman carried in her womb. The SS doctors who oversaw the assessments were tasked with identifying any potential impurity or deviations from the Nazis' desired racial standards. Only approximately 40% of women who applied to join the Lebensborn program managed to pass these arduous tests. Several key figures played instrumental roles in perpetuating the program's horrors. Among them, Heinrich Himmler, the notorious architect of the SS and one of Hitler's closest confidants, stands at the forefront. Himmler wielded immense power and authority, overseeing the Lebensborn facilities and implementing policies that aimed to engineer a racially pure society. His influence extended beyond the realms of ideology, as he actively participated in the abduction of children and the manipulation of families. Another figure entangled in the web of Lebensborn was Gregor Ebner, a high-ranking SS officer entrusted with the organization's day-to-day operations. Ebner's unwavering loyalty to the Nazi cause drove him to carry out the abhorrent practices mandated by the program. Under his watch, children were forcibly taken from their families, leaving behind a trail of shattered lives and irreparable trauma. Within the realm of medical experimentation, two figures stood out: Dr. Karl Brandt and Dr. Leonard Conti. Dr. Brandt, a trusted physician of Adolf Hitler, played a pivotal role in overseeing the unethical medical experiments conducted on Lebensborn children. His participation in these heinous acts further emphasized the depths of the program's depravity. Dr. Conti, on the other hand, served as the Reich health leader and used his position to enforce the ideology of racial purity within the medical community, contributing to the implementation of Lebensborn policies and its subsequent atrocities. As the Lebensborn program grew, it extended its reach beyond Germany's borders. By opening homes in various countries, including Norway, Austria, Belgium, Holland, France, Luxembourg, and Denmark, the Nazis aimed to expand their racial influence. In these homes, the program welcomed not only German mothers, but also non-German women who were racially fit according to Hitler's policies. Native women who had relationships with German soldiers were invited to the Lebensborn homes to give birth in privacy and safety, ensuring the future care and education of their children. This policy, though born out of the Nazi regime's warped ideology, had profound implications for the lives of these children and their mothers. The expansion of Lebensborn into occupied territories further reinforced the pervasive and destructive nature of the Nazi regime's racial agenda. In the shadowed corridors of Lebensborn facilities, a clandestine world of horror and manipulation unfolded. Behind closed doors, the Nazi regime executed a heart-wrenching scheme that involved the forcible separation of families and the traumatic abduction of racially desirable children from occupied territories. The impact of these cruel practices reverberated through generations, leaving deep scars of emotional and psychological trauma in their wake. Within the Lebensborn program, children became pawns in the Nazis' grand design for a master race. Babies and young children deemed to possess the desired Aryan traits were torn away from their families, leaving parents shattered and siblings bewildered. The Nazis, driven by their warped ideology, justified these actions as necessary for the purity and preservation of their imagined Aryan society. Behind the closed doors of Lebensborn homes, these stolen children faced a harsh reality. Separated from their biological parents, they were thrust into a world of uncertainty and upheaval. The psychological impact of this forced separation was profound, as children grappled with a profound sense of loss, abandonment, and confusion about their own identities. The emotional trauma inflicted upon them was immeasurable, shaping their lives long after the war had ended. The manipulation and indoctrination of children within Lebensborn facilities formed another dark aspect of the program. The Nazis sought to mold these young minds into loyal and obedient followers of their poisonous ideology. Under the guise of education and guidance, the children were subjected to relentless propaganda and psychological conditioning. In the Lebensborn homes, Nazi officials and ideologies employed a range of strategies to enforce conformity and force allegiance. The children were bombarded with racist and anti-Semitic teachings, forced to memorize Hitler's speeches, and subjected to intense nationalist indoctrination. The goal was to strip them of their individuality and replace it with unwavering devotion to the Nazi cause. These tactics had a profound impact on the stolen children, warping their perception of the world and fueling hatred towards those deemed inferior by Nazi standards. Their innocence was twisted into a dangerous weapon with devastating consequences for their own lives and the lives of others. After the collapse of the Nazi regime, the retrieval and reintegration of stolen children posed a significant challenge. Many faced rejection from their birth families, who struggled to accept and forgive the circumstances surrounding their abduction. These children, robbed of their rightful identities and filled with the burden of a Nazi past, grappled with a profound sense of dislocation and self-doubt. The psychological and emotional scars inflicted upon the stolen children endured long after the war had ended. They faced the dual challenges of reconciling their biological heritage with their stolen upbringing and coming to terms with the heinous crimes committed by the Nazis. Some children managed to reconnect with their birth families and rebuild fractured relationships, but the wounds inflicted upon their psyches were not easily healed. Moreover, the trauma of Lebensborn extended beyond personal struggles. The stolen children, now adults, carried the weight of their past into a world that was learning to confront the horrors of the Nazi regime. They faced societal stigma, discrimination, and the unrelenting burden of guilt by association. Rebuilding their lives and forging their own identities became a lifelong battle as they sought to navigate a world scarred by the atrocities of their childhood. If you want more of history's long-held secrets and darkest confessions, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching Bizarre History. We'll see you next time.